Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is not just another science update. It's a puzzle, a clash of theories, and a story that begins not in a lab or a library, but in one of the most remote, unforgiving corners of our planet. Imagine the icy winds of the Arctic, a place where the ocean is steel gray and the sky seems to press down on you with a cold weight. Out here, between Greenland and Canada, lies Baffin Bay, a silent witness to events so ancient, so dramatic, that they still haunt the Earth's memory. And in this frozen water, far below the waves, a team of scientists has just pulled something out of the mud that might change everything we thought we knew about the last great cold snap in human history. Asterisk, this cold snap is not just any random weather event. It's known as the Younger Dryas. About 12,800 years ago, as the last age was ending, the northern hemisphere suddenly froze again. Not over centuries, not even decades, but in what the ice cores suggest could have been a matter of months. Imagine living back then. You're expecting warmer seasons, the ice sheets are melting, plants are returning, animals are thriving. And then, almost overnight, the temperatures drop by about 18 degrees Fahrenheit. Rivers and lakes freeze, plants wither, and survival becomes a desperate struggle again. For decades, the official explanation in textbooks has been simple. Massive floods of fresh water from a collapsing ice sheet, the Laurentide ice sheet, poured into the Atlantic, disrupting ocean currents that carry warm water north. Without that heat, the North went into a deep freeze. That's the meltwater theory, neat, logical, and backed by many respected scientists. Asterisk, but there's another theory, one that feels almost cinematic. It says this wasn't just the work of melting ice. Instead, Earth may have collided with something from space, a comet or a trail of its debris. The fragments may have exploded in the atmosphere or slammed into the surface, causing firestorms, throwing dust into the skies, and blocking sunlight. This is what scientists call the impact hypothesis. It's dramatic, it's controversial, and it's been debated fiercely ever since it was first proposed in 2007. That year, researchers found strange things buried in layers from the Younger Dryas period, tiny glass beads called microspherules, rare metals like platinum, and soot from what looked like massive fires. The pattern seemed global, suggesting something big had happened. But almost immediately, skeptics fired back. They argued the evidence could have come from ordinary Earth processes, lightning strikes, volcanic eruptions, even human contamination of the sites. Many paleoclimatologists dismissed the idea, holding tight to the meltwater explanation. Asterisk, this is where Dr. Christopher Moore from the University of South Carolina comes into the picture. He knew the problem with the impact theory wasn't just whether it could happen, it was whether the evidence was trustworthy. Land-based sites can be messy. Farmers plow fields. People build towns. Soil gets contaminated. But what if you went somewhere untouched, somewhere human hands have never disturbed? Moore's idea was to go deep, literally. He led a team into Baffin Bay, drilling sediment cores from the ocean floor up to 1.5 miles beneath the waves, and more than 20 feet into the seabed. Down there, every layer of mud is a time capsule, recording the history of Earth without interruption. Asterisk, when they reached the layer corresponding to the Younger Dryas boundary, they found something extraordinary. Under the microscope, the mud was packed with perfectly round, iron-rich glass beads, microspherules, formed in the kind of intense heat you'd expect from a high-energy impact. Alongside them were metallic particles rich in nickel, a metal far more common in meteorites than in Earth's crust. The layer also showed sharp spikes in platinum and iridium, rare on Earth but abundant in cosmic material. And when they analyzed the elemental ratios, they found something fascinating. Most of the material looked like it came from Earth's own rocks, but mixed into it, about 1%, was extraterrestrial nickel and chromium, matching the composition of comet dust. In fact, when they compared the data to samples from NASA's Stardust mission to Comet Wild 2 and to cosmic dust collected in Earth's atmosphere, the match was almost uncanny. Here's the thing. Earth is always collecting dust from space, about 5,000 tons a year. But that's a slow, constant drizzle spread across the whole planet. It doesn't leave thick layers. It doesn't spike platinum levels worldwide. And it certainly doesn't plunge the planet into a 1,000-year cold snap. What Moore's team found was different. A 6-month bombardment of millions of tons of cosmic material, 1,000 times heavier than the normal background. Whatever happened, it was violent, it was massive, and it left its mark even in the deep ocean. Still, the debate rages on. The meltwater camp points to models showing how a big enough freshwater flood could do the job without needing an impact. Some studies even suggest that floods through the Hudson Valley could have triggered the Younger Dryas without any help from space. They also note that no single, obvious crater has been found that could match the scale of this event. For them, the impact theory is still missing its smoking gun. But think about what a strike of this scale would mean. Beyond the cold, there would have been global wildfires choking the air with soot. The sunlight would have dimmed. Crops would have failed. Food chains would have collapsed. Archaeological records from the time show sudden die-offs of large animals, mammoths, giant sloths, saber-toothed cats, and abrupt changes in human settlement patterns. People abandoned some areas entirely. Hunters shifted their strategies. Cultures changed almost overnight. Could it be a coincidence? Maybe. But the timing between these changes and the impact evidence is unsettling. The Baffin Bay cores are like a message in a bottle from the deep past, telling us that something catastrophic might have happened when the Younger Dryas began. If this was a comet strike, it wasn't just a natural disaster. It was an event that reshaped ecosystems, altered human history, and changed the trajectory of life on Earth. And here's the uncomfortable thought. If it happened once, it could happen again. The difference is, last time, nobody saw it coming. Nobody knew until the frost began to creep across the land and the world, without warning, began to unravel in ways no one had anticipated as more and more details surfaced about the incident that had initially been cloaked in secrecy, revealing a tangled web of events, connections, and consequences that seemed to stretch far beyond the boundaries of what the public had been told, forcing both authorities and ordinary citizens to reconsider what they thought they knew. Whispers started circulating about hidden motives, unseen forces, and decisions made behind closed doors that might have shaped the entire chain of events, leading some to believe that this was not a random occurrence, but rather the result of careful planning, strategic manipulation, and perhaps even deliberate orchestration by individuals whose names had yet to come to light. While others dismissed these theories as wild speculation fueled by fear and mistrust, insisting that the truth was far simpler than the shadowy picture being painted. Yet the lack of clear answers only deepened the divide, making it harder to distinguish fact from fiction, truth from rumor, and reality from crafted narrative. And in this uncertainty, every new piece of information, no matter how small, carried the weight of potentially shifting the entire understanding of what had happened, creating an atmosphere where every conversation, every media report, and every social media post felt like another step deeper into a mystery that refused to let go. A mystery that seemed to expand the more it was explored, leaving a lingering sense that something much bigger was at play, something that could, if fully uncovered, change the way the story was remembered forever. Asterisk.